A lot of good things. Got a lot of guys in the game. You know, I thought we executed pretty well. You know, not happy with the turnover, but you know, the 2 turnovers. We talked about the one after the game. Thought it was fairly clean. That said, though, we've got a lot of small, you know, some technique and execution things we got to improve on, especially against a opponent like this. But for a first game, and where we came out health-wise and all those kind of things, you know, about what we would have hoped for.
As you start looking at Illinois, what do you see from them?
Again, a physical Big Ten team. They've improved over last year. You can see when you got a returning quarterback now who's in his second year starting, you can see somebody that's definitely in command and knowing what they want to do. Much like I would expect a Brett's team, they're going to be physical up front, use the tight ends in the run game to be physical, big back now. They're not going to beat themselves. So they made some adjustments in the O-line when, you know, I think they, between junior college and portal, brought in about 14, 15 guys maybe, and a fair amount of newcomers. So again, they've been good on defense. I think in the last couple of years they've set quite a few guys in the league. I think as a whole though, they're you know, again, guys with more length and speed than we played against last week. So all the things that kind of stand out that you're going to have in a game like this. And as we talked about, we need to go on the road and, you know, to a Power 4 conference school and find a way to win a football game, and that hasn't probably happened here in a while.
How did you think things went over the course of the weekend, and then today getting to do stuff even though because it was a holiday?
I'm saying, before I forget, John, I guess I meant non-conference wise, game wise, not conference wise. Make sure that'll end up on a message board or something. Go.
Yeah, just how do you feel like this weekend helped your guys? And
good. I mean, right now I watch someone like DJ Withers and Tommy Dunn. We're just kind of running around the field, like, you know, the legs were pretty fresh, and you know, we did have a chance to watch the film and get in the weight room, but also gave them yesterday to themselves. And so between all that, I think, you know, we're approaching like a routine week now, and we have a chance to take advantage of this time, and hopefully we'll feel better and prepared as we hit the road.
2 of the guys who didn't dress in the last game were Caleb Taylor and Keaton Kubeka. Just wondering when you expect to get them back.
You know, I'm not sure yet on both. I would think Caleb will be there sooner than Keaton.
Saw Blake Carroll get some snaps on Thursday. Can you talk to us a little bit about kind of his journey going back from when you guys saw him in high school camp?
Yeah, you know, he came to camp. He was, you know, a guy that was at Oscar Rodriguez, that was an analyst with us, got word about him, watched him, and it was more a DN tight end, and we thought we could move him inside. He's really embraced it. He doesn't like when I tell him I think he could be a heck of a center someday, so he makes sure he's working his tail off, I guess. But, you know, Jim Panagos loves him, loves his work ethic, loves his improvement. You know, again, he's going to have a chance to play a lot of football here. We're excited about him, that's for sure.
And you mentioned you've seen some improvement from Illinois. Where specifically do you feel like you've seen those improvements?
Well, again, just, you know, I think again up front they're definitely better. You know, again, you know, we talk a lot about the, you know, the skill positions in these settings, but it's still up front. You know, I think the left tackle's very impressive. They moved the tackles into guards, and again, and again they're using multiple tight ends, like I said, and do some of that physical, you know, with the big back, solid receivers. That again, and you know, much like us, when it all complements each other, you got a chance to be a very effective offense moving down the field. So that's probably where I see it. You know, last year I thought, you know, we came out of the gate, you know, home field, and we talked about that. You know, we were the home team. We came out, played really well in the first quarter, first half, and but the second half, we weren't probably as effective. So now we got to go to their place and be ready. And I know this is an important game for them as well as us as you kind of go through this grind of what's going to happen now from here on out.
And we've talked a lot about how experienced this roster is and this team playing on a road game like this. How do you feel like that experience can help?
Well, I sure hope it helps. You know, we've been in different environments now. You know, you still have some you know, guys that maybe done it at other places as well. You still gotta come together as a team and operate, but all in all, when you look at some of the spots where we're counting on and communication and those things, we do have experience. You know, I thought our linebackers and for the most part, secondary, we're communicating, okay. We need to be better through things. So again, what's the crowd gonna be like? What are those sense, you know, what are you walking into? And of course, we've started that prep already.
Getting back to last week real quick, the way that game played out in the second half, getting all those guys in, was there anyone or any group of guys that maybe getting that kind of early playing time, extra reps, all that stuff maybe helped the most?
There's so many, Matt, but you know, we mentioned Blake, Marcus Kelvin got his first, you know, real playing time. You know, Joe still got the cast, but he got a handful of plays. Obviously, DJ Warner, Jalen Todd is true freshman, Harry Stewart. I thought Johnny Thompson ran the ball really well. You know, and Johnny, last half of camp, I thought it started to come together for him. So, you know, kind of happy there. 13, I think, offensive linemen played, so we got some guys in there. James Livingston got his first playing time, and you know, Amir Herring got in for us, and so some guys like that. I thought it was important, you know, like I said, Gorska played. I thought Logan Brown had a good game, you know, and again, you know, great to have him. So, you know, anybody that got in, it's pretty normal that you get those guys. That Leighton Cure, we talked about him, you know, D2 transfer, played a lot of snaps and got himself there, and he's going to continue to get better. And so, yeah, and I probably missed 10 others, but you know, it's a great opportunity. You know, Mason Ellis and you know, Jalen Dye played his most football. So all those things are going to be a big part of what we're doing, and anytime we can do that without there being a big dip, we're going to definitely try.
Along those lines, Sevion got a lot of carries, got in the end zone. Like, you know, talking to Daniel and Devin throughout camp, they said he could have just as good a year as either one of us. I mean,
yeah, you know, that's what's really neat, man, is watching those guys now. They really come together. I think that's part of the maturation process at a position, because you talk about daily competition and being competitive, and when you're younger, sometimes that's the word's threatening, I guess. But now they've come to understand that there's opportunities for everybody, and sometimes there is a waiting period, but all in all, those three guys especially are really pulling for each other. I think Savion's a guy that's had trouble staying healthy, and because of that, I think Daniel and Devin really, you know, see his potential, but are pulling for him as well. And you know, it got to the point in the fourth quarter, you know, Jonathan came up to me and said, he's gotten about 8 carries. He's played a lot in this series. You know, let's just make sure we got everybody, you know, fairly fresh. Let's go to the 2 younger guys. So that was good. Otherwise, he probably would have had a few more.
And then real quick, flipping to this week and the other side, you mentioned the tight end stuff that they do in their run game. Who does the onus fall on for you guys defensively to kind of handle that?
Again, you know, it's all about gap responsibility, keeping leverage on the ball, all those things, but we're going to have to be physical, you know, and they do some things where they're going to bring in an extra lineman and play with multiple tight ends as well. So it goes on everybody, fitting the gaps, recognition of formation strengths, extra people, so that we're not unsound, but then you got to be physical when they bring in the bigger bodies, and I, you know, I'm sure that's still part of Brett's, beliefs, and rightfully so, because he's won a lot of football games with that mentality, and I know their coordinator there, they've been together now a while. We're together at Arkansas, so they've still that mentality to, you know, play great defense, be physical on offense, find a way to win in the fourth quarter, doing those things. They played, I think, 7 or 8 one-score games last year. I think 3 of them were decided by 7. I mean, they're right on the fringe, and these are teams that, you know, I know we go into, you know, woulda, couldas, and ifs, but I'm sure they can take a handful of plays and feel like it's a whole different year for them, and I'm sure, as you know, you keep doing it right, and I believe Brett does, and you do that, eventually that flips, and we just gotta make sure that we're on the right side of taking care of our business this week.
You mentioned Bajo and getting his cast. How's that recovery been like? And do you anticipate kind of him getting it off the next few weeks and snaps kind of going up in that pace?
Well, we'll see, you know, it's a pretty competitive group right now, you know, you got the two guys starting, and Dean played really well, and Jeremy's been very steady, and Dylan Woodkey's a guy that's sneaky productive, and then there's DJ, and he's gonna help this program, and so where's that all fit? And then there's Cole Petrus, who, you know, gives us, you know, he's very sound, great effort, knows what he's doing, and so there's gonna be, you know, hopefully a pocket of plays for him. Ron McGee, you know, and I told Ron out there today, you know, Ron, this is a type of game that's gonna play bigger guys. We got a chance to have you know, Ron's pretty quick for a defensive end, but a big body, and so we're there. So Vi's in a competitive situation. You know, haven't really got the final where it's gonna be for this week with his hand, but you know, you know, they continue to X-ray and reduce casts, but for me, when I go out there, it looks just as wrapped up as it's always been. So we're getting closer, but you're right. You see flashes of his athleticism and speed, and he plays hard. Just got to keep working and see where it takes us. But I am excited about the future and the athleticism of this group.
Hey, Lance, I didn't know if you answered this last year when you played Illinois. Do you know Brett? I mean, have you guys crossed paths?
Yeah, I thought I did last. You know, yeah, Brett was was coaching Wading probably the first time I met him at Wisconsin through some guys when I was at Omaha at that time, and was passing through recruiting and went to a bowl practice. That's probably the first time I met him. But you know, Brett's been very good to me. You know, when I was at Whitewater, he was at Madison and with the Badgers, but helped us when we needed opportunities to practice in the indoor late in the year. But more importantly, when I got the job at Buffalo, Brett reached out to me, and when he was at Arkansas, and offered if I came down that he would sit down and kind of go through a yearly calendar and different things. And you know, at first you're busy, you're scrambling. I was trying to coach two teams and kind of going through that. And when we were done, he actually called a second time. And he didn't need to call one time, but he called again, kind of floated it out there again. And I told my wife, I said, you know, not many guys do this, and he doesn't have to. I need to find a way to get to Fayetteville. And I went there and spent, you know, just a day with him there in the bowl prep, and we met with his recruiting people. He kind of went through his philosophy on off season, and yeah, I owe a lot to Brett Bielema, and just forming some thoughts and philosophies from the Division III level to the FBS level. So very grateful to him.
And then with the Thursday night game, did you get a chance to watch any football this weekend?
A little bit. Actually, my wife and I we got a chance to fly down to Florida quick on Saturday, and I grabbed a flight back, and I watched my daughter, our daughter, have a chance to coach. She's coaching volleyball, and it's the only game I'd be able to see. So I did. Well, I guess I did, because I always say I had 3 games on while I was on the plane. So I had 2 iPads and a phone. So I got some in, and I got some of the mid-afternoon games as well, a little bit, and caught some of the end of Saturday night and last night as well. And it's interesting. You know, you watch a lot of games early in the season, things that happen. Penalties, controllable ones and uncontrollable ones, turnovers, special teams, all that stuff plays a big part early, and it kind of shows itself again. And it also shows with a lot of games, you got to be prepared each and every week, because there's always a few that sneak up on you, and that's why we got to make sure we stay focused and be where our feet are at.
I'm curious, Thursday was the first time in a long time I had Andy calling plays in the offense, and what was it like having Jeff do that and also having him on the sideline? I don't think that's something that Andy would
Well,
do.
we did in the bowl game, you know, right? So I mean in the last 2 games we've had over 500 yards. Okay, so I want to make sure that, you know, our offense, and I know I talk about games I've watched, and obviously Andy did a hell of a job for Penn State and all that, but you know, we've got to move on, and we'll have our opportunities to to keep, adding, but I, you know, what was really different is first time I've had a offense coordinator in 18 years on the field. And, but I feel comfortable because Jeff's comfortable there, but more importantly, because of Jim's being up in the box for the bowl game, calling it. I know that gives us another set of eyes and where sometimes you want those eyes to be, in the passing game during the series. And with the pads and everything else, we can get other things, kind of, adjusted, corrected, or just viewed in between series even better than before.
You may have hit on it there, but what is different about having an offensive coordinator on the sideline?
Well, again, and part of it's, you know, I get, you know, Jeff's demeanor. You know, sometimes for me, back in, you know, when I first became a head coach and heard, you know, people I've worked under is, you know, part of it is, could be the person's disposition. Because you get, you know, you know, whether it be crowd or the players or whatever, you can get the emotion part. Now, some guys may like that, and some defensive coaches like that because they got a sense. But sometimes you get up there, it's more, you're more neutral, and you can collect your thoughts and see it, and not let that kind of sway you. So, and Jeff's done it both ways, and he said he'd do whatever I wanted. But you know, again, I think I've probably put enough, you know, expectations on him as far as learning. I want him to be as comfortable as he can be, running this offense.
Lance, you were able to establish the run with Devin and Daniel last year when you played Illinois. How important is it to take that level of physicality on the road, especially as you're trying to quiet an opposing crowd?
Well, extremely important. It's and it'd be, you know, it's important every week. But again, on the road, to give yourself normal down and distance, try to keep the crowd out of it. You know, if you're in third and longs and second and longs all day, you're probably in for a long day altogether. You know, and then you say crowd factor, snap counts, they pin their ears back, come after you in different ways. Defensively, they do a nice job. I mentioned the length of their defensive ends, do a nice job disguising things, dropping them off. They peel off on the backs and do a nice job. So you start getting yourself into those situations, it makes it a lot more difficult. And so obviously being, you know, again, having a good run game, but again, we strive for balance. And that's where it wants to be. So, and when you stay in those regular type situations, you can dial up pretty much anything, run or pass, and stay out of predictable situations.
Anything else for Coach?